Hi there. We are Group 6 and we're presenting on Slabs Bar and Grill, a local Marquette community restaurant. So Amelia, Katie, James, and I, we have worked so hard throughout the semester to bring all this content to you and to present here on Slabs, an amazing restaurant. If you haven't been, highly suggest. But a little background on Slabs Bar and Grill. Their main mission is that they're a relaxed bar restaurant, offering big local food in a bold new way. The original focus was to celebrate the Marquette community, especially NMU, its students and alumni. Some more background on Slabs. They're fairly new in the market, especially here in Marquette. They opened in 2024, so they've barely been open for a year compared to now. But they're located within the Ramada Inn Hotel. They serve a lot of the hotel's guests, of course, the Marquette community, and targeting the students here at NMU, and of course, tourists. Originally, before it was Slabs, it was Harley's Restaurant and Eatery, which also gained attraction, but they definitely knew it was time for a switch, and Slabs was the perfect opportunity for that. Because Slabs was a great opportunity for them to try fun, new, bold menu items. They were able to be innovative, try new things, push new ideas, honestly, trial and error with all their events to see what else they could bring to the Marquette community, especially to celebrate it itself. They're still relatively small. They only have about 30 employees, but they're still a strong big business ready to fight and be a part of the Marquette community. To transition into Slab stakeholders, we have this amazing stakeholder map, which serves as a great visual to really see how many relationships and connections Slabs has. Outside their target audience, they have great relationships with their suppliers, farmers, local businesses who supply their product, and of course their employees who are the face of the company and welcome in their customers, some being the waiting staff, the cooking staff. They're also stakeholders in Slabs and their reputation. And of course, the owners being passionate with the company and promoting their company plays a huge part into Slabs and their reputation. But to transition into more of their target audience, there's three major groups, one being tourists, of course. In the summer, we have tons of tourists here in Marquette. And of course, they want to try a local restaurant to get to know the local traditions and community through their food, and Slabs being one of the major options. And of course, connecting to the local community, its residents, the Marquette County, and of course NMU, its students, its faculty, its alumni, building connections there, and they have a huge part in being a stakeholder to Slabs because without them, Slabs wouldn't have business. They wouldn't be able to create a connection community. So being able to understand their wants and needs really benefits what Slabs can bring to the table, what they can bring to their community, which really transitions into cultural values and applied theories. So some ethical theories that are being applied here, we really think Slabs is a virtue ethics business. They really push that, and of course stakeholder theory because of all the connections and positive relationships they created. But one thing we noticed when talking with Tyler is that they don't have any written down company core values. But when you really talk to him, you can really recognize how much they have empowered leadership within their community, how adaptable they've been since they're a new business, how innovative they are constantly with their food, their menu, their events, and of course how big and passionate they are about community and trying to build community either within the company of Slabs and also branching out to the local Marquette community and building community relations there, which is super important in PR. Going into more about Slabs and their internal culture, as soon as you walk into the restaurant, you can see how positive, relaxed, and fun the culture is. The employees love being there, and what makes the company super special is how important their employee voice is. It's not just the employers making the decisions, they really have to pay attention to their employees, what they have to say, what they have to input in either it's a new innovative menu item, whether it's a new policy, and they also love to hear from the community and its customers because they are just as affected by Slabs in their decisions, and they should also be a part of their decisions. And that really plays into their company behavior. Again, being fun, relaxed, innovative, adapting, and really pushing their leadership. Even though they're a new business, they're really trying to lead in their industry. But one suggestion we have as a group is that they should create a code of conduct. They don't have one actually, since again they're a fairly new business and they need to get into that. But it would really benefit them, their employees, and really show that the community that they're professional and ready to go into this.
Moving into the triple bottom line assessment, the first key takeaway was the planet, which is the environmental sustainability. The planet part of the triple bottom line looks at the environmental impact. So what we're going to be going into is restaurants in general generate 50,000 to 75,000 pounds of waste per year, and almost half of that is food waste. Slabs currently can't track its energy or water usage because it shares utilities with the Ramada that it's inside of and it rents space from. A next step to go into that would be an energy audit to identify inefficient equipment and reduce costs that they could cut down on so that they know what they are using. They're doing some things right though, like using cloth napkins and real silverware, which then cuts down on the disposables and the plastic waste. But they can be doing more. Creating a compost system or partnering with local farms would reduce food waste in a meaningful way. The second key takeaway is people, which is the internal culture and the community engagement. Slabs has a strong community presence, and they host events like music nights and local sports after parties. These build customer loyalty and support local talent. Internally, the culture is positive and team-focused. Employees feel very comfortable communicating and supporting one another. However, because these policies are informal, there can be inconsistencies within it. A balance between friendly culture and clear written guidelines could help ensure fairness while maintaining the family-like environment that they strive for. The third takeaway is profit, which is economic responsibility and growth strategy. Profit isn't just revenue, it's about staying sustainable long term. Slabs Bar and Grill gets hotel traffic, but to grow, they need to attract more local customers from Marquette. Today's customers are increasingly choosing restaurants based on sustainability and ethics. Slabs could benefit from tracking and publicly sharing sustainability efforts, which could attract customers and possibly qualify them for grants or local recognition. Diversifying their customer base and promoting sustainability supports both sustainability and growth. Moving into our ESG strategy, we would be first talking about food waste. Slabs currently tracks and manages their food waste internally, but the goal would be to reduce food waste by 25% in 2030. They can measure the success by tracking the percentage reduced during each stock intake cycle. Doing this would support cost savings, sustainability, and reduce the environmental footprint. In the energy consumption category, there's no formal energy tracking system in place, but it would be our goal to decrease by 30% by 2030. Things that would help us get there would be upgrading to energy efficient appliances and lighting. The community engagement category are not currently tracked, but our goal would be to increase community attendance and participation by 15% in 2028. Things would be like live music nights, local sports gatherings, either that being NMU or the high school. Next, we would be going into workplace safety. The goal would be reduce annual workplace injuries by 15% in 2028, and that would reflect the commitment to employee well-being and safe operations. Transparency is shared but not formally tracked, and the goal would be establish a clear communication channel for updates, issues, and improvements. This would build trust with employees, guests, and community stakeholders. I have a discussion question for you guys to think about. On Slab's menu, they state that the food is from Case Country Farms, and if you read that on a menu, where do you think that they would be located? There's not any details listed. So Case Country Farms is located in Chatham, Michigan, but Slabs would be able to increase their community partnership and list where they're getting their products from and where they're located. Now we'll be moving into the risk and opportunity section of the ESG strategy. So one of their first opportunities would be to reduce waste and build sustainable reputation. Restaurants produce large amounts of food waste and Slabs is no exception. Right now they aren't tracking waste as we mentioned earlier, but composting with a local farm could turn their waste into value or just have a good partnership with the community and be able to give our food to the animals so that they could be using it instead of throwing it in the trash. Sharing these efforts publicly could attract sustainability-minded customers and improve their brand loyalty. Another opportunity would be increased community engagement and repeat business. Slabs already hosts events like live music and sports after parties, which connect them to the community. But more events, fundraisers, and theme nights would boost their visibility. This encourages repeat customers and strengthens the restaurant's relationship with locals, having them come in more often. Moving into a risk, there's no tracking of utilities. Slab shares utilities with the hotel, meaning they can't measure their true energy or water use. Without tracking, they can't identify problems or reduce operating costs. A simple energy audit could highlight inefficiencies and save money over time. Upgrading key equipment and lighting could reduce waste and support long-term sustainability. As I mentioned in the discussion question, I have a couple of their menu samples right in front of you. So as you can see on their breakfast one, there's nothing stated about where the farms are or who they're partnering with. It just has the name, and it could be just a generic name, especially if you were a hotel customer who didn't know of Case Farms or where they were located within Michigan. And then the Sunday special is obviously a great way to get locals to come in every Sunday, but it needs to be more advertised, and it could also say where they're getting the food from, or they could have partnerships with local businesses to come.
For my revision, I reworked an Instagram ad posted by Slabs Bar and Grill. The original ad promoted a menu item that was only available 2 days, February 13th through the 14th. The tone was very exclusive, almost a get it before it's gone type of message. But while there's a strong sales tactic, it also can make customers feel pressured, and it doesn't fully reflect Slab's values of community, inclusivity, and sustainability. So I redesigned the ad with a different approaches. Instead of highlighting a limited time offer, I focus on the fact that customers can enjoy high quality food, locally sourced food, every day. In my version, I featured a burger made with ingredients from Case Country Farms, one of the Slab's local suppliers. This not only emphasizes sustainability, but also supports UP farming and small businesses. A new message shifts from urgency to invitations. Come enjoy like local food, sustainable food, and ingredients options for every diet. Open the doors for every customer. It communicates in inclusivity and transparency. It also shows that Slabs isn't just about selling food, but also the supporting the community. By reframing the ad, we highlight the ethical marketing and builds trust and shows customers that dining at Slabs means supporting local businesses and sustainable choices. In a small community like Marquette, that kind of honesty and inclusivity strengthens reputation and customer loyalty. One goal of our project was to make sure that it avoided greenwashing, meaning claiming sustainability without proof. Instead of vague statements like reduce waste, we recommend strategies that are measurable, such as like composting, partnerships, and weekly waste tracking. We also suggest energy monitoring tools with clear targets like 25% waste reduction and 30% energy reduction. Another blind spot we addressed was the term local sourcing. It sounds sustainable, but needs clarity to be truthful. So we emphasize listing suppliers by name and showing percent of the menu is local, which you can find on the website. The way sustainability isn't just talk, it's visible and proven. Our focus on transparency, accountability measures progress, the opposite of greenwashing. We also support ethical technology and data use policy to support privacy and trust. Data in restaurants are constantly collected through payments, online orders, reviews, employee files. So we created guidelines to ensure the information is not only used but when necessary and also stored safely. We include strategies like password protection access, limited data handling, deletion once information is no longer needed, that sort of stuff. We make it trustworthy and isn't just security, it's openness. By communicating the data it's collected and why customers and employees feel protected instead of monitored. Ethical data practices create long-term loyalty because people know their privacy matters and is being respected.
This is our recommended implementation plan for Slabs. So during the first 3 months, we want to focus on building a strong foundation, including defining values and creating a code of conduct, such as starting basic sustainability tracking. In the next phase, from months 3 to 6, Slabs should focus on building their internal operations with staff training, empowerment initiatives, and creating structured event schedule. Months 6 to 10 should focus on infrastructure by installing smart meters or completing an energy audit, starting with composting partnerships and shifting to sustainable packaging. In months 10 to 14, the focus should shift to creating transparency through published updates, expanded community events, and written workplace policies. Finally, by months 14 to 18, Slabs can publish its first annual sustainability report and show their tracking systems, apply for grants, and set new long-term goals. In order to measure the progress, we use a clear set of realistic KPIs, such as the environmental category. Slabs should focus towards a 25% reduction in food waste and a 30% reduction in energy usage by 2030. Social measurements include increasing engagement at the community events by 15% and reducing workplace injuries by 15%. From a governance standpoint, Slabs needs a place to communicate where they can share updates, share their tracking, and financial success will show up through lower utility costs and reduced waste disposal expenses. Overall, the improvement means operating more efficiently and building their community ties in order to get that long-term sustainability. Our closing and takeaways. Our core message is that Slabs Bar and Grill is a business that should be worth supporting because it is deeply connected to the community of Marquette. Slabs already sources from local suppliers. They host many community events and create a welcoming environment for residents and visitors. One ethical value that sets Slabs apart is in its people. Centered leadership, the general manager creates and builds teams that help each other. They encourage their staff to take a pride in almost as their ownership, and they promote a culture grounded in respect and responsibility. So looking ahead, Slabs has the potential to become a leader in dining for the Upper Peninsula. With clear values, improved tracking, and long-term sustainability goals, slabs can improve the local environment and reduce environmental impact and create a long-lasting positive impact towards the community. Thank you.